Your support matters. With 90% of our viewers yet to subscribe, we need your help to keep creating engaging content. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let us know where you're watching from. Leave your city in the comments below. I never thought a single email could shake the foundation of my marriage. Sitting across from my best friend, Olivia, at our favorite cafe, I should have been enjoying our rare lunch date. The sun cast golden streaks through the window, our coffees sat untouched, and the chatter of other customers faded into the background. But my mind was elsewhere, tangled in a dangerous game of what ifs and maybes. How long has it been since we had a real catch-up? Olivia asked, tucking a strand of her dark hair behind her ear. I sighed, stirring my drink absent-mindedly. Feels like forever. Between grad school, house responsibilities, and Ethan's crazy work schedule, I barely have time to breathe. She gave me a knowing smile. You're almost done, though, right? Almost, I admitted. Spring break starts next week, and I just submitted my final thesis. No more sleepless nights over assignments. I should be celebrating. Should be? Olivia arched a brow. Why don't you sound excited? I hesitated, debating whether to say it out loud. Finally, I confessed, because nothing feels exciting anymore. I go home, make dinner, watch reruns of old shows alone, and wait for Ethan to come back from work, usually after I'm already in bed. My classmates go out, travel, and experience things, while I feel stuck. Olivia gave me a pointed look. You're married, Amelia. You have a husband who loves you, a stable future ahead. Some people would kill for that. I forced a smile. I know. And I do love Ethan, but I miss the thrill of life, the spark. She studied me carefully, her fingers tapping against her coffee cup. Is there someone at school making you feel this way? My silence was answer enough. Olivia's eyes widened slightly before she leaned in, whispering, "Who is he?" I bit my lip, my heart pounding at the mere thought of saying his name. Liam. He's a freshman, barely 2 years younger than me, but he's different. Kind. Fun. He actually listens when I talk. Her expression darkened. Amelia? I know, I said quickly. I'm not cheating. It's just harmless flirting. It's nice to feel seen, you know? But Ethan wouldn't see it that way, Olivia reminded me. Be careful. Your marriage isn't something to gamble with. I sighed, nodding. I knew she was right, but I couldn't ignore the part of me that longed for something more. Just one last adventure before settling down completely. Then, as if reading my mind, Olivia smirked. You know, if you wanted to, you could make it work. I blinked. What? She leaned in, lowering her voice. A little misdirection can go a long way. If you plant doubt in Ethan's mind first, he'll be too distracted to suspect the real thing. I frowned. What are you talking about? Send him an anonymous email, she suggested, eyes gleaming with mischief. Make it seem like someone's spreading rumors about you. Something vague, just enough to put him on edge. That would just make him suspicious of me, I argued. Exactly, she said. When he confronts you, act furious. Make him feel guilty for doubting you. Then say you need space and tell him you're going to Florida to visit your mom for a while. I stared at her, heart pounding. What if he calls her? Then tell him not to, Olivia shrugged. Say you need to clear your head, and if he pushes, remind him that if he doesn't trust you, maybe you shouldn't come back at all. I swallowed hard, my mind racing. It was risky, manipulative, but it could work, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to resist anymore. Ethan rubbed his temples, exhaustion weighing him down. His company was on the verge of a major breakthrough, but if the missing components didn't arrive soon, everything would fall apart. Just as he was about to shut his laptop and head home, his inbox pinged. A new email. Subject, about your wife. Frowning, he clicked on it. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Amelia is having an affair with Professor Bennett. Thought you should know. A good friend. Ethan stared at the screen, his pulse spiking. Professor Bennett? That didn't make any sense. Amelia hadn't even mentioned him in years. His first instinct was to delete the email. Clearly, this was some kind of sick joke. But then doubt crept in. Amelia had been distant lately. She barely talked about school anymore. And hadn't she mentioned wanting more excitement? Before he knew it, he was typing a response. Who are you? What proof do you have? He hit send, even though he doubted he'd get a reply. Determined to put this to rest, he started searching online for Professor Bennett's name. No results. He checked the university directory. Nothing. Expanding his search, he tried LinkedIn, social media, even old faculty listings. Still nothing. His stomach twisted. Was he chasing a ghost? Or had Amelia been lying to him all along? By the time Ethan arrived home, I was already waiting. The tension in the air was thick, an unspoken storm brewing between us. Where have you been? I asked, arms crossed. I called you. He ignored the question and took my hand, leading me to the couch. I need to show you something. Something in his voice sent a chill down my spine. When he handed me a printed email, my heart nearly stopped. I read the words twice, then slowly looked up at him. You think I'm cheating on you? My voice shook with anger, partly real, partly rehearsed. It's not that. Some random email lands in your inbox and you believe it over me? I snapped, throwing the paper at him. You trust an anonymous stranger more than your own wife? Amelia, I can't even look at you right now. I spat, grabbing my purse. I don't know when I'll be back. The door slammed behind me as I stormed out. My hands trembled as I started the car. That was too easy. Ethan wouldn't suspect a thing now. And tomorrow I'd be on a plane to Florida with Liam. I was halfway to the airport when the guilt started gnawing at me. I had planned everything meticulously, down to the last detail. But now that I was actually leaving, a small part of me hesitated. Was I really going to do this? Was I really going to Florida to meet Carl? I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, shaking off the doubt. This was my chance, my one last adventure, before I fully committed to the life Adam and I had built together. I wasn't walking away from my marriage forever. I just needed a break, some space to clear my head. That's what I told myself, at least. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat, and I glanced down. A message from Carl. Carl, hey, beautiful. Everything set? I can't wait to see you. A thrill ran through me as I imagined the week ahead. Sun-soaked beaches, late-night walks, the kind of carefree excitement I hadn't felt in years. I quickly typed back, me. On my way. I'll see you soon. I forced myself to stop overthinking and focus on the road. I'd already set everything in motion. There was no turning back now. Back home, Adam sat at his desk, staring blankly at the same email he had read over a dozen times. He knew he should let it go, but something about the whole situation didn't sit right with him. If this was just a false rumor, why had Melanie reacted so strongly? Why had she left so suddenly, refusing to let him check in with her mom? He reached for his phone and hesitated. She had made it clear. If he contacted her or her mother, she might not come back at all. Still, something wasn't adding up. Instead of calling Melanie, he scrolled through his contacts and found Gary's number. If anyone could help him make sense of this mess, it was her. Adam, hey, can we talk? A few moments later, his phone rang. Hey, Adam, Gary said. her voice warm and steady. "How are you holding up?" He let out a humorless chuckle. "Not great. I can't shake the feeling that something's off." Gary sighed. "You mean the email?" "That, and the way Melanie reacted. She didn't just get mad. She packed her bags and left, and she made sure I wouldn't check in on her. Why go that far?" There was a pause. Then Gary spoke carefully. "Maybe she just needed space, Adam. You two have been under a lot of stress." "Maybe," he muttered, though he wasn't convinced. Gary hesitated before adding, "Look, if you really want answers, there might be another way to figure out what's going on without contacting her directly." Adam frowned. "What do you mean?" Gary's voice lowered. "You could track her phone." Adam's stomach tightened. "That feels wrong." "I get it," she said, "but think about it. If she's really at her mom's, you'll feel better. And if she's not—" Adam didn't respond right away. He hated the idea of spying on his wife, but the doubt was eating him alive. "Just think about it," Gary said softly before hanging up. At the airport, I checked my bags and took a deep breath. It was really happening. I had told myself this trip was harmless, that it was just a break, nothing more. But deep down, I knew better. I was lying to my husband, sneaking away with another man. I told myself it wasn't cheating. Not really. Not yet. But I also knew that if Adam ever found out, there would be no coming back from it. As I waited to board, I called my mother. "Melanie, sweetheart," she greeted me warmly. "How are you?" "I'm good, Mom," I said quickly. "Listen, if Adam calls, can you just tell him I'm with you?" There was a pause. "Melanie, what's going on?" "Nothing," I lied. "Adam and I just had a little argument, and I need some space. I didn't want to worry him, so I told him I'd be staying with you for a bit." "Melanie," she said cautiously, "I don't like this. If you need space, that's one thing. But lying to Adam, that's not right." I closed my eyes. "Please, Mom, just for a few days." Another pause. Then, reluctantly, she sighed. "Fine, but I don't like it." "Thank you," I murmured. As I ended the call, guilt twisted in my stomach. But before I could dwell on it, the boarding announcement came over the speakers. It was time. That night, Adam sat on the couch, turning Gary's words over in his head. Track her phone. He had brushed the idea aside earlier, but now the doubt gnawed at him. Finally, he pulled up the phone tracking app they had set up years ago for emergencies. He hesitated just for a moment before clicking it open. The location loaded. His breath caught. She wasn't in Florida. She wasn't at her mother's house. She was in Miami Beach. His stomach clenched as he stared at the screen. She had lied. Gary's phone buzzed just past midnight. "Groggy," she answered. "Adam?" "She lied to me?" His voice was low, controlled, but she could hear the tension. "She's not at her mom's. She's in Miami Beach." Gary sat up straight. "Are you sure?" "I tracked her phone." Gary let out a slow breath. "Adam, what are you going to do?" He didn't answer right away. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm. "I need to know the truth." Gary hesitated. "Adam, whatever you're thinking, don't do anything you'll regret." He exhaled sharply. "I just need answers." After a long pause, he added, "I'm booking a flight." Gary's stomach twisted. "Adam, I have to," he said simply. Then the line went dead. The warm breeze of Miami wrapped around me as I stepped out of the hotel lobby, my heart racing with excitement. The sun had already begun its descent, casting golden hues across the sky, reflecting off the ocean waves. Carl was waiting for me by the boardwalk, dressed in a casual white shirt and khaki shorts, looking effortlessly relaxed. His smile widened as he saw me, and for a moment, all my worries melted away. "You made it," he said, pulling me into a warm embrace. I did. His touch felt different, thrilling, reckless, and dangerous. I had spent years in a predictable, stable marriage, but Carl made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a small voice whispered, "What are you doing?" I silenced it. This was my time. "Let's go," Carl said, lacing his fingers with mine. We spent the evening walking along the beach, talking about everything and nothing. He made me laugh, teased me playfully, and reminded me of a younger version of myself, the girl who had dreams beyond routine, beyond the predictable life I had settled into. As the night deepened, we found ourselves at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the ocean. The city lights shimmered below, and soft music played in the background. It was perfect. Carl reached across the table, brushing his fingers against mine. "You seem lighter, happier," I exhaled, realizing how tense I had been for months. "I feel free," he grinned. "Then let's make this week unforgettable." I smiled back, pushing aside the nagging guilt. For once, I wanted to live in the moment. Meanwhile, Adam stepped out of the Miami airport, his jaw clenched with a mixture of anger and determination. The past 24 hours had been a whirlwind, tracking Melanie's location, booking a last-minute flight, and now standing in a city where he never expected to be. She had lied to him, and he needed to know why. He called Gary as he got into a cab. "I'm here." Gary's voice was tense. "Adam, are you sure this is the right move?" "I don't have a choice," he muttered. A part of him wanted to believe there was a logical explanation, that maybe he had misunderstood. But deep down, he knew. "She's staying at the Royal Palms Hotel," he said, staring out the window as the city passed by. "I'll find out the truth tonight." Back at the hotel, Carl and I lingered on the balcony. The city sprawled beneath us. The wine in my glass swirled under the dim lights, and my heart pounded in my chest. I knew what was happening. The stolen glances, the charged silences, the way Carl looked at me as if I were the only woman in the world. I had told myself this trip was just about space, about finding myself again. But the truth was, I had known what I was doing from the start. Carl reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. His touch sent shivers down my spine. "Melanie," he murmured, his voice laced with something deeper, something dangerous. I didn't pull away. I should have, but I didn't. Instead, I leaned in. A loud knock on the hotel door shattered the moment. I froze. Carl frowned. "Are you expecting someone?" I shook my head, my pulse hammering. Another knock, this time more urgent. A terrible feeling gripped my chest. Slowly, I set down my glass and walked toward the door. My fingers trembled as I reached for the handle, dread curling around me like a vice. I opened it, and there stood Adam. His eyes, dark with betrayal, locked onto mine. For a moment, the world stopped. Neither of us spoke. The air between us was thick with 1,000 unspoken words, 1,000 broken promises. Carl took a step forward behind me. "Melanie, who is—" Adam's gaze snapped to him. "You." I turned back to Carl, who looked from Adam to me, realization dawning in his eyes. Silence stretched between us, suffocating. Then Adam exhaled slowly, shaking his head. "So it's true." My throat was dry, my mind scrambling for words that wouldn't come. "Adam, Don't." He cut me off, his voice eerily calm. Carl stepped closer. "Look, man, maybe we should talk." "Talk?" Adam let out a bitter laugh. "I flew all the way here because my wife lied to me, and you think we should talk?" Carl hesitated. Adam turned back to me. "Why, Melanie?" "Why lie?" Tears burned my eyes. "I just needed space." "Space?" His voice broke slightly. "This isn't space. This is betrayal." I wanted to tell him he was wrong, that I hadn't technically crossed the line yet. But we both knew the truth. I had already crossed it the moment I lied. The breaking point. The silence stretched, heavy and unbearable. Then Adam's expression hardened. You made your choice. He turned away. Panic surged in my chest. Adam, please. But he didn't stop. The door shut behind him. And just like that, he was gone. I stood there, my entire world shattering around me. Carl touched my arm. Melanie, I pulled away. I need to be alone. He looked hurt, but nodded. I'll be here if you need me. I barely heard him. My mind was spinning. Adam was gone, and I didn't know if I'd ever get him back. The door closed, and with it, my world crumbled. Adam was gone. I stood frozen in the hotel suite, my chest heaving as reality hit me like a tidal wave. I had spent so much time justifying my choices, telling myself I wasn't really doing anything wrong. But now, faced with Adam's betrayal-stricken eyes, I knew I had already crossed the line long before tonight. Carl shifted beside me, his voice hesitant. Melanie? Are you okay? I took a step back, wrapping my arms around myself as if that could hold me together. I don't know. He exhaled and ran a hand through his hair. Maybe I should go. I swallowed the lump in my throat and nodded. I think that's best. Carl hesitated, as if considering saying something else, but then he grabbed his jacket and walked toward the door. He turned back to me one last time. You're an amazing woman, Melanie. I just wish things were different. Then he left, and I was alone. Alone with my regrets. I barely slept that night. My mind replayed Adam's expression, the pain in his eyes. The next morning, I booked the first flight home. The plane ride was agonizing. I had spent years loving Adam, building a life with him. And in one impulsive decision, I had shattered everything. When I finally stepped into our house, it felt unfamiliar, like I no longer belonged there. Adam's suitcase was missing. Panic rose in my throat. I rushed to the bedroom, searching for any sign that he might still be here, that maybe we could still talk. But his clothes were gone. His favorite watch, the one he never left behind, was missing from the nightstand. A note sat on the dresser. With shaking hands, I picked it up. Melanie, I don't know how to look at you right now. I don't know if I ever will. I need time. Please don't call me. Adam tears blurred my vision. I clutched the note to my chest, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I had lost him, and I had no one to blame but myself. The next week was unbearable. I checked my phone 100 times a day, hoping for a message. Nothing. I went to work, went through the motions, but my heart wasn't in it. The house felt emptier without Adam's presence. His laughter, his warmth, the simple way he made coffee every morning. I had been so desperate to find myself, but in the process, I had lost the one person who had always been there for me. One evening, as I sat on the couch, staring at the untouched dinner on the table, my phone buzzed. My heart leapt when I saw Adam's name. I fumbled to answer. Adam? A long silence. Then, his voice, distant and cautious. Can we meet? Tears welled in my eyes. Yes, please. We met at a small cafe, a place we used to go to when we were first dating. When I saw him, my heart twisted. He looked exhausted, his eyes shadowed with hurt. He didn't smile, didn't reach for me, just sat down across from me, his hands folded on the table. I swallowed hard. Adam? I'm so sorry. His jaw tightened. Why, Melanie? I looked down, guilt suffocating me. I don't know. I felt lost. I thought space would help, but I just made everything worse. Adam exhaled slowly. Did you love him? The question hit me like a slap. No, I whispered. It was never about that. I was just selfish. He nodded, his expression unreadable. I thought we had something real. We did, I choked out. We still do. Adam looked away, his fingers tightening around his coffee cup. I don't know if I can trust you again. My chest ached. Is there any way we can fix this? Another long silence. Then finally he sighed. I need time. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. I nodded, accepting the reality I had created. Okay. As Adam stood to leave, I whispered, I love you. He hesitated, but didn't turn back. And then he walked away, leaving me to wonder if I had already lost him forever.